first of two meetings this evening. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. At this time, we will call our Board of Sanitation meeting to order. In lieu of a roll call, I'll introduce all of the participants. To my far right, Ed Bell. To my immediate right, Dan McMillan, our Clerk Treasurer. To my immediate left, Sandra Stewart, also a member of this board. Board members, you have been given a copy of the minutes from the last meeting dated January the 7th, 2013. For your review, at this time the floor is open for questions or comments.
Questions?
I have no problem with them.
Okay. Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We'll move to claims. The first docket is wastewater manual claims. These are claims that do not require board approval prior to being paid. Tonight you have one page of claims in the amount of $79,162.69. Floor is open for comments or questions.
No comments or questions.
All.
Motion to approve the wastewater manual claims is presented.
Make a motion to approve the wastewater manual claims as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We'll move over to the docket for wastewater regular claims. These are claims that require board approval prior to being paid. Tonight, board, you have two pages in the amount of $19,293.68. The floor is open for comments or questions.
I do have a question, please, on page 1, halfway down, raised trash service. The hauling of wood roll-off in the amount of $366. Are we charging our residents for heavy trash?
Brad, could you come forward, please?
Good evening. What was the question? Are we charging for heavy trash?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. We charge when someone puts out an excessive amount of trash. Generally, myself or Mr. Biggs will go out and take a look at what's out there, and per the ordinance, charge a fee that's in accordance with the terms that are found in the ordinance for the trash heavy pickup.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Brad?
Yeah.
I think part of our question, that was actually a two-part question. And raised trash service, they had a bill for $366.49, and it was haul wood, roll off. You want to explain what?
Yeah, we keep dumpsters behind our building now in lieu of storing the wood that when we have the brush program. Typically in the past, what we did was we would just create this ginormous pile of wood. If ginormous is a word, that's what we had. And then Greenwood would come down, tub grind the brush, create mulch, and then we would give that away. And the problem really got to be was the expense, not only in the tub grinding. There were some issues with kind of at some point they expect you to do some permitting with composting. That wasn't ideal. And then we really, as we lost some of the manpower that we had, we just couldn't really staff the mulching operation anymore. So what we started to do was haul the brush away. It was cheaper. It left less of a mess. It's a much cleaner operation. And so that's what we do now with the raised dumpsters.
Thank you for explaining that.
Board have any other questions concerning the manual claims?
I do. Just being new on the board, I noticed, a lot of the citizens getting refunds. Does that just vary on the reason? Or
No, what actually happens on the sewage refunds especially is someone will move out of a home and they've overpaid, or due to a closing on a purchase of a piece of real estate, and so that's what these refunds are for.
Thank you. No other questions?
I ask for a motion to approve the corporate wastewater claims as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Brad, if you could come back up, a couple of matters under old business, new vehicle purchase update and salt inventory.
Yeah, we're still in really good shape on salt. I think since the last time we spoke, we really haven't had a lot of events. Luckily, after December was kind of a nightmare, it's really been somewhat calm. I think we're looking at some possible accumulation on Friday, but for the most part, we still have a good 500 tons of salt. So we're in good shape. On the vehicles, you know, I had talked that we might get them both in early. We did get the one in. I do have a picture of it if you guys are interested in seeing that. Pretty exciting for us. But the holdup will actually be on the bed. POW Fleets, where we're having the bed installed, and there's a couple weeks by the time they get it in and get it on there. The other truck will be coming a few weeks behind that one. So ultimately, we'll probably still end up getting them both within the same couple-week period, but they'll definitely be a help to our fleet. Those two new trucks will serve a good purpose for what we do.
Now, how long does it take to put the beds on or whatever goes on the back of it?
Yeah, a couple weeks.
Weeks?
Yeah. And right now, it could be quicker, but they have to wait on delivery. So it's going to be at least 2 or 3 weeks before we probably take delivery ourselves.
We're going to put our city logo on the side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect,
Yeah.
That concludes old business. I wanted to bring that forward to update the board. Under new business, the first item is trash tote inventory. Brad, if you could proceed with that, please.
Yeah, when we, when the mayor brought forth the ordinance on the trash totes, part of that entailed us kind of revitalizing the program of keeping track of who had what tote. That way when people requested a new one or when they called in to see what tote that we had on record for them, that program was abandoned, I think, quickly after they tried to do the automated trash. I think back in 07 or 08. They had kept a paper copy up to that point, which really wasn't ideal anyways, but they kind of let it go. So it's something that we need to get back into, and then we've began talks with Wessler on seeing if we could get them to begin creating a database, something that we can interact with in a way that makes more sense for us. I think the mayor and I have talked about adding a slot on the sewer bill where we can include people's totes so that we can keep them updated on what tote they're supposed to have. So if there is an issue, then they're aware of it. They can call in, see if the neighbor accidentally has their tote or if it's stolen. Just keeps us responsible on that part of the program. So I know we have a meeting Thursday with Wessler, and we're going to look to kick that off.
Yeah, I would like to proceed with that. This is probably one of the final things. We've really tightened up the rules on trash and what gets picked up and what doesn't, and the fact that you have to have totes and stuff like that. So this is kind of like the final piece, because right now we have no clue who has what and what comes and what goes. So this will really help us a lot down the road, especially with homes that have more than 2 totes, because we charge those an additional fee. So I'm looking forward to that meeting and getting started on that. That will be a timely process.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Under new business board, sewer projects, if I could have Brent come up and discuss some of the items. Brent, I don't know if you brought one of these with you tonight.
I
give
did,
this
as a
to the
matter of
board.
fact, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, give you a little bit of background, some of the work we did last year. November of last year, we smoke tested about 1.5 miles of sewers in Grovewood Place and also the industrial area there on the other side of Emerson Avenue, on the east side of Emerson Avenue. And from that smoke testing, we found nearly 100 sources of water that's getting into the sanitary sewer. We found some connected storm inlets, we found some manholes that were leaking, and also issues that we call on the private side with the residence laterals and clean outs that don't have caps on them. One of the things I wanted to point out was that storm inlets were found connected to the sanitary along Grovewood. And so one of the projects will entail disconnecting the 2 storm inlets that were found on Grovewood and routing those off the sanitary into a drainage ditch or the closest storm sewer we can find. Also part of our investigations, we've known for a while there's some issues there in the sewer along South Avenue between Elm and Ash. It was televised, I want to say, 2 years ago, and there were roots in there, and the roots were cut out, but typically those roots come back. So we went out there with our pole camera. We've got a camera that lets us look down the sewers, and we not only saw evidence of those roots back, but we also found some structural issues as well, where the sewer joints are offset. And so another project will be actually installing what we call a cured-in-place pipe, which is a liner that will be either turned inside out, inverted, or pulled through that existing sewer, and it'll be cured. And the result will be a pipe inside of that existing clay pipe that's actually stronger than the sewer that's there. So that would be another project. And then also, there is a failing sewer at South 9th and Fletcher that's impacting the homes on the north and south sides of Fletcher. The sewer is not, it wasn't installed per code, and this was done who knows when, how many decades ago. But basically, the sewer takes a right angle into South 9th Avenue, where it ties into another main, and that sewer is collapsing. The joints are really offset. And so they're going to have, get with some contractors and get pricing for them to install a new sewer and abandon that defective line that services all the homes there on the north and south sides of Fletcher. Any questions?
Yes, how does it affect the residents?
There should be no impact to the residents. During the liner installation, well, I should say there will be a minimal impact. During the liner installation there on South 4th, a notification will be sent out to the residents asking them to limit their water usage for that day, if they could go ahead and hold off on doing their laundry, for example. There will be enough storage in their laterals to shower and do the normal things, or I should say the necessary things. But those liners typically go in within a matter of a few hours. And later on that afternoon, after the liner's been installed and cured, they will go back in. At a minimum, they'll poke a hole in the resident's lateral to relieve the water that's coming out and come back the next day. So minimal service interruption on that. The other project there at Fletcher and South 9th, that would result in no interruption to service because there's already an existing sewer that's in bad shape, but that would flow while the contractor's putting in the new stretch of sewer, and we're only talking maybe 30, 40 feet of sewer, if that, of new sewer that would be installed.
What are the residents, what are they experiencing now?
Well, I've been given a little bit of information. I believe there are backup issues there along Fletcher Avenue. I can't speak specifically to issues there along South 4th Avenue. If they're not having problems now, they will eventually, because what happens is these roots from the trees that get into the sewers, they grow to a point where basically nothing can flow through there, and it has effect of damming solids up, and anyhow. It's an ongoing maintenance issue that putting that liner in will take care of.
Now, you mentioned the liner being stronger than the clay or
Yes.
whatever. How long do we anticipate that lasting?
They come with a design life minimum 50 years, and studies show that they can go 7,500 years. This is pretty indestructible stuff.
Thank you.
I think one thing that's very important on the Grovewood is that every time it rains, we are paying to treat stormwater,
That's right.
and we really shouldn't do that.
Yeah, when we do this smoke testing, basically the concept is simple. You blow smoke into the sanitary sewers under a little bit of pressure, and wherever the smoke comes out is where water can get in. And as Mayor Buckley mentioned, you know, it's quite an expensive thing to have all these clear flows going to Citizens Energy that the city has to pay for because the flows are monitored there at the metering locations. And so I would say it's a good return on investment, focusing on getting these storm inlets disconnected. They will pay for themselves over time. These projects will.
Brent, we have another matter. Have you been called in on the Parkway, 12th and Parkway issue?
I don't
Bill is
believe
working
so.
on it with Brad. Maybe, do you have insight on that one, Brad? We have another issue that's not on your, there's no examples of it in your packets.
Say 12th and Parkview,
Parkway.
Partway.
Well,
These are some pictures that you guys can look at. Yeah, he actually took those pictures today. This is over close to where Mr. McMillan lives. But yeah, they basically, when you look in the manhole, you see a void between the manhole and the next pipe. So there's a section of pipe that has completely disappeared. I'm sure it broke up at some point, worked its way out of there. So now we just have mud. So it's something that we definitely need to go in and make a repair on. And Phil essentially found it when he was trying to jet that line. He kept finding that he couldn't get through to the manhole, and what was happening was the nozzle was dropping down and going into the dirt, basically, instead of being able to shoot straight into the manhole because the pipe was gone.
Well, this is something that, and Dan and I talked about it end of last week. This is something that has to be repaired soon.
Yeah.
And I know English was coming out to take a look at it. My understanding is it's a 2 or 3 day project.
Yeah, they've looked at it. They've given us a cost estimate. So at this point, it's just a matter of him getting the equipment in there and actually doing the work.
With this erosion and so forth, that missing pipe or whatever, I really couldn't tell. Is that going underneath the street or
It's in the, it goes into the alley because that line goes down the alley.
So you could cave in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
Have
goes
a
down the
major
alley and
problem.
services those homes, and you've probably got a 3 to 4 foot void between the manhole and the next section of pipe.
Okay.
Well, we'll move on that as soon as.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Brad. Next order of business is I want to inform the board of the issue with St. Francis Hospital, the sanitary sewer system. Brent, if you could come back up, please. The board has a copy of the letter that was sent to St. Francis.
Yeah, we went out and did perform some inspections and identified some significant clear flows leaving the facility into the Beech Grove system. I think we identified 5 different locations. We're down to 4 now where we recommended installation of flow meters to meter the flows that are coming off of that facility. Considering the low use there at this point in time, we would not expect to see those kinds of flows, and especially clear flows. So our question to St. Francis are, do you have building drains that are tied into that? What's going on out there? And their response has been that they've looked into the situation. They're going to continue investigating to find the source of these discharges and try and get those disconnected. And in the meantime, they have asked if Beech Grove would waive the requirement of putting those flow meters in. And the response, in a nutshell, has been, well, you know, we don't know how long you're going to take to find these sources and disconnect them. In the meantime, the city of Beech Grove is paying for these discharges. And so it's only fair that you proceed with installing those flow meters. And I sent them correspondence, I think it's been a week ago, to that effect, and have yet to receive a response on that. But we will continue to pursue the installation of flow meters there at that facility.
And this is just for the board's information.
Yeah.
We need to tighten up on some of these places that
Absolutely.
are discharging stormwater into the
Yep.
sanitary sewer
The
system.
city, its residents and businesses bear the burden of these discharges. So it's fair and equitable to chase them down. And if facilities cannot remove these sources, then at least they should be charged for them.
A similar situation like with Amtrak, they were discharging water.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, with them delaying or without the meters, obviously we can't charge because we don't know how much. But if the meters go in, is there any recourse where we can go back and charge? Or you just?
That gets a bit beyond me.
Point?
That gets a bit beyond me. I think that's something the city would want to
That's
pursue.
a very
or
good point,
investigate.
Ed.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'll probably sit down with them and talk about.
Okay. Like we did with Amtrak. Okay,
Exactly, yes.
all right.
Yes, good point. Board, any other questions? Thanks, Brent.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes new business. Comments from board members?
Have none?
If not, I ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll second.
Meeting was adjourned at 6:19. We will convene the Board of Works meeting in 5 minutes. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the second and final meeting of this evening. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. At this time, we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting. And in lieu of a roll call, I will introduce each participant. To my far right, Ed Bell. To my immediate right, Dan McMillan, our Clerk Treasurer. To my immediate left, Sandra Stewart, also a member of this board. Board members, you've been presented minutes of the previous meeting dated January the 7th, 2013. At this time, the floor is open for comments or questions.
Mayor, I find the minutes to be okay.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make the said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We'll move over to claims. First docket of claims is corporate manual claims. These are claims that do not require board approval prior to being paid. Tonight, board, you have 5 pages of claims in the amount of $520,705.94. Floor is open for comments or questions.
I have no questions.
I have none.
There's no questions. I'll ask for a motion to approve the corporate manual claims in the amount of $520,705.94.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Next docket is corporate regular claims. These are claims that require board approval before they're paid. Board, we have 3 pages in the amount of $46,555.05. Floor is open for questions or comments.
Yes, Mayor, I have a question. On page 1, about middle ways down, there is 4, or actually 5, of royal title about the Main Street loan. What's that about?
These are, we were pursuing who owned properties on Main Street to secure the loans we have because loans were given to people without any stipulation or, this guarantees the loan, the property does. Well, previous to this, there was no guarantee in place. So we went out and did title searches on all the properties that still have loans that are ongoing, and now we are securing these loans with the property.
Now, by doing that, does that raise us up on the people to be able to collect first, or?
Well, I'm not sure
What's
it
the
would
purpose?
move us to first, but at least the way it was previously, we had
No,
no guarantee of getting a penny out of it.
okay.
This here, their property will be put up as collateral.
All right.
And some of these were actually in a lawsuit that we filed as the city for people that have not paid or whatever. We came to one that has paid off now, and we've got another one that's real close to settling on their loans, where before, it was a slap on the hand if they didn't pay, if that. So this helps eliminate that problem.
I do have another question. So I'm still new at this. I noticed on page 2, Mike Boone, which is a fireman, he's under description, humidifier filter, cleaners and so forth. Is that for the station? He just went out, he's just getting reimbursed?
He's reimbursed, yes.
Okay.
The name under that is the same way.
Yes, okay.
And I think Alan Campbell down a couple from there, and Amber Klauser. Amber bought a package of light bulbs. So it's easier for them just to go in and pay it and us cut them a check and reimburse them.
Okay.
And down a little bit on petty cash for the police department, that's the same way. They'll bring in receipts and they keep a certain amount of money. And that's actually what that's for too, janitor supplies, different things.
Okay.
I have a question, please, on page 1, 3/4 of the way down, Lehigh Hanson gravel. the amount of $1,599.62.
Brad, would you like to?
Is that just,
Gravel that we use to
Yeah.
rehab alleys.
Thanks.
any other questions or comments by board members? Don, I'll ask for a motion to approve the corporate regular claims in the amount of $46,555.05.
Make a motion to approve the corporate regular claims.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. There's no old business to bring forward. Under new business, surplus equipment for the fire department. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Board. I come before you today to ask approval for the surplus of the following equipment. The following items have no value. The rescue equipment and computer equipment is obsolete and will be sold for replacement parts. Any monies received will be returned to the fire department equipment budget, and then the appropriation number 210362. The list of equipment, if you'd like me to read that out, please, is one hose bed divider for the out-of-service engine that was sold to Pierce from the 1987 era. Old RCA VHS camcorder. We have some various lengths of black and gray copper wire. We have some particle board. Skip the generator, that should not be on this list. Outdated smoke machine, outdated fogger machine that does not work. 2 cold water rescue suits. There's no longer in service and are outdated, along with a personal flotation vest. 2 Atlas PA speakers and a cutter's edge chainsaw. Also have one post indicator relief valve is for the engine. It's obsolete, no longer used. Some old shelving brackets, wood cribbing that was taken off the engine of various sizes, lock and rubber floor mats, 1 PPV fan, 4 locker units, 5-foot door post guards, and this is the rescue equipment. This is the Amcus rescue equipment that was taken off the engine over 2.5 years ago. It's been in a shed, and this is a Model 30 CX spreader, Model 25 HD cutter, Model 30-inch RAM, 40-inch RAM, and 60-inch RAM, and the power unit that goes with it, along with the MK100 hose reels, 100 foot of hose. Along with those items, I have 4 Motorola MW8 computers, keyboard and screens, along with the VRMs and the radio charger.
Is that on here, Rob?
Yes, it is.
I got the last.
You got it? Okay.
Okay. Along with an amplifier, a Panasonic video monitor, a David Clark Master Station model, U3 3800 series with the radio headset and a feedback system also, along with a Eureka vacuum that's no longer in service. Also have 7 3-inch sections of station hose, 3 5-inch sections of hose, and 1 3/4 section of hose. And this hose is also outdated or failed the last hose test. We keep our hose for 10 years and then we replace it, so this failed the last inspection. Any questions?
Well, I have one. I understand about the hose and the hydro testing and so forth. But, you know, when you're saying items have no value, like a chainsaw and the particle board and so forth, you're just listing it as that and until you auction it off or sell it?
Right.
Off?
The Amcus equipment that we have, what I'd like to do is surplus it. I've contacted a couple vendors to see if there's still some value for that equipment. Right now, he states that the value, street value, resale value of that equipment is roughly around $5,600. And that's if we can get a department to purchase the whole set from us. And they're willing to do that for us. If we cannot find a buyer for that equipment due to its age and the condition, he would take it in on trade for about half the amount, where he would set up account, and if we need equipment such as hose, nozzles, etc., he would give us a lot of amount for the equipment, probably half of what the street value of $5,600. The computer equipment is also obsolete. This is the computer equipment that was taken out of the old medic unit. Also, the engine that was sold to Pierce from the new one. The equipment it's obsolete. The only value to the Motorola equipment are the touch screens themselves, and the value on those might be roughly $100 to $200 max. If we can get that for it, that'd be excellent. So that's what we have. Currently, all of our equipment is being replaced with the MC31 computers. Our 2 new medic trucks were brought in, and we took this equipment out and placed the new equipment in there. So,
Rob, the new engine going to have a PIRV?
yes, 2.
It will have? Okay.
This is one that came off of the reserve engine, the old engine, and it's coated with lime. And to send those off, we pay to mail those back to the company. This one's been serviced and reserviced, but it just builds up with lime scale and starts to deteriorate the insides. It's no longer able to function and work without rebuilding the whole set, and the cost of a new one is less than the cost to remail and rebuild it. So,
yep. On page 2, for the board's information, the last 7 items, I purchased that. I don't know when we bought that, but that was that package was $25,000. And items in the fire service don't keep their value very long. But Ed, to your point, when he says it's of no value to them.
Right, okay. That's what I was wanting to try
Yeah.
to find
It's
out.
value to someone else.
The citizens like to,
Yeah.
like to know that.
So, board members have comments?
No comments.
One thing I would have to say is any money received would have to be turned over to the clerk, and then the clerk would assign it to where it should be assigned, Rob. And then, but other than that, I'll ask for a motion to approve the surplus of fire equipment.
I'll make said motion, Mayor.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Rob, permanent employment for Alan Campbell.
yes, dear board, on December 11th, 2012, Alan Campbell will have completed his probationary period with the Beech Grove Fire Department. With the board approval, I'm asking to move Alan to second-year civilian paramedic pay. His hourly rate will increase to $13.59 per hour. This increase was budgeted for the 2013 budget. With your approval, this increase will be effective immediately.
Comments from board members?
I have no comments.
I have none.
I do want to pass on some information to the board. When the city hires a full-time employee, they are what they consider a probationary employee for 1 year. And at that time, the city doesn't have any cause, if they want to release them, they can. After 1 year of employment, if it calls for a change of pay, an increase in pay, the board has to approve it, and the clerk will pay it. Also, the board also has the right, if they are uncomfortable with making an employee a permanent full-time employee, the board has the right to continue with the probationary period for another period of time before they go to permanent employment. That's the board's option.
With that,
We don't have a
Any
reason.
said reason?
You have no reason, yeah. If the chief is not happy with the performance, but this is what this is for. You know, once there's a 1 year of employment, if the employee becomes permanent, and if there's a pay increase, it has to be approved by this board.
So is it a normal thing after they've reached their probationary
Yes, it is.
time, they do get that pay increase?
It's
And then some,
And it is budgeted already?
Yes.
So
Correct.
the monies are there, is that correct?
correct.
Yes.
Our employees, the new employees, when they come on, they receive probationary pay. And both the civilian paramedics and the firefighters have a 3-step increase. So each year, we'll come back to the board to do the increase on each member.
Thanks.
all right. Any other questions from board members?
Have none.
Not asked for a motion to approve Alan Campbell for permanent employment.
I'll make a motion to approve Alan's probationary period through.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Chief Jennifer Byers.
Yes, dear Board, on December 11th, 2012, Jennifer Byers will have completed her probationary period with the Beech Grove Fire Department. With Board approval, I'm asking to move Jennifer to second-year civilian paramedic pay. Her hourly rate will increase to $13.59 per hour. This increase was budgeted for 2013. With your approval, this increase will be effective immediately.
Same situation, correct?
Exact same thing.
Okay.
Comments from board members?
Have none.
Now I'll ask for a motion to approve Jennifer Byers for permanent employment.
Make a motion to approve Jennifer Byers' permanent employment.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Next is lease purchase of vehicles, and I'll defer to the clerk to read resolution number 2. Do you have it, Ed?
Yes, I do.
Sandy, do you have it?
Yes.
Okay.
Resolution number 2, 2013. Resolution number 2, 2013 is a resolution that instructs the chief of the Beech Grove Police Department and the chief of the Beech Grove Fire Department to begin the process to purchase vehicles pursuant to their respective departments for the purpose of updating their fleet. Whereas the Beech Grove Police Department currently has 4 vehicles that were purchased in 2006 that are due to be replaced, and whereas the Beech Grove Fire Department currently has 3 vehicles that were purchased in 2002 and 1 vehicle that was purchased in 2007 that are due to be replaced, and whereas it is the desire of the city to maintain its fleet and to change out vehicles used by the Beech Grove Police Department, the Beech Grove Fire Department in a timely fashion to prevent excessive maintenance costs which may burden the city financially. Now, hereby be it ordained that the Board of Public Works and Safety desires that such vehicles be removed from their respective fleets and replaced with new vehicles. Now, hereby be it further ordained that the Board of Public Works and Safety desires that the Clerk Treasurer on behalf of the city enter into a lease purchase agreement for the purchase of these above-mentioned vehicles. Be it ordained that this resolution only applies to the lease purchase of the vehicles listed above for the Beech Grove Police Department and Beech Grove Fire Department. Be it further ordained that this resolution shall go into effect immediately after approval from the Board of Public Works and Safety, attested by the Clerk Treasurer and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. Rob, while you're up there, could you go ahead and give us an update on your staff vehicles, please?
Yes, we're looking at replacing the 2 chief's cars, which are 2003 Ford Crown Vics. Also replace our pickup utility vehicle, which is a 2-wheel drive, and our battalion vehicle, which is a 07 Ford Explorer. What we're looking at purchasing is replacing the utility vehicle with a 2013 Chevrolet Silverado extended cab, along with the trailer package so we can pull our safety trailer. Currently, right now, the fire department does not have a vehicle to utilize with our safety trailer. So this vehicle will be used in that purpose for public education purposes. Also, we would like to order this vehicle with an 8-foot straight blade plow, snow plow, to utilize in the winter for our parking lots. Also in extreme emergencies, if it has to be sent forth before our medic truck to get down snowy, icy streets. So in extreme emergencies, we'd have that capability to do so. The other vehicles we're looking at purchasing would be the Tahoes, which would be the 2013 Tahoes. We would like to order the 4-wheel drive package in those. Also, we would like our vehicles to be red in color. It sounds insignificant, but it will distinguish the fire department separate from the police department. Since they've gone for the Tahoes, people will be able to recognize the difference between the two entities. I don't want our guys being mistaken for police officers out there, so their job is dangerous enough. So that's the direction we're looking at. With the vehicles, we need to do an upgrade and replace the computers and have the current computers removed from our vehicles and update those, and then decal striped, and the lighting package, which is not transferable from our current vehicles to the new vehicles. So total price quotes that we've received for the vehicles, the computers, the removal and the install of the computers, lighting, decal and striping is $140,356.
Comments for the chief?
How long would these leases be for one?
That's
What-
going to be.
What we'll do, Ed, is we'll defer to the clerk.
Yeah.
And the clerk will just look at the vendors and the amount of time and the best interest and all that stuff.
Probably we're going to, just a rough estimate would probably be a 5-year lease purchase program like we did on the garbage trucks.
No.
Depending on what the best rates are financially as far as extending that.
Now, the other question is, the money, was that budgeted in the fire department to replace these vehicles?
The
Or is
budget this
gonna
year
be-
is for the fire department, and this year would have to come out of asset forfeiture for the police for this year.
Gotcha.
I have a question also. Define due to be replaced. I mean, some, it's, 4 were 2006s, 3 were 2002, 1 was 2007. I mean, I understand cars do wear out, but
They're supposed to have a
why now?
rotation.
And why did not 3 years ago? Why not, 2 years from now? Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, that's a very fair question. The Ford Crown Vics, they're over 10 years old, pushing 86,000 miles. Car 1002, Jimmy's vehicle has a transmission issue, and we don't anticipate that vehicle to last long. The same with mine. We're getting into maintenance issues with the vehicles just because they haven't been replaced yet. The normal life cycle on one of these vehicles is 6 to 7 years. You should have a decent replacement cycle in place for those.
Thank you.
So that's where the lease comes in, rather than just purchase them outright.
Yeah, it's a lease
Well, then you
purchase.
can-
Lease purchase.
Rotate out, okay.
Thanks, chief.
Thank you.
Mark, could you come up, please?
Mayor, Board, I'm requesting that we be able to replace 4 of our vehicles with the new Chevy Tahoes. We already have the Tahoes. We have looked at other vehicles, Ford, other Chevy cars, Dodges, and our study shows the Tahoe is the best police vehicle for the price. It actually is the least amount for a police pursuit vehicle. The Total cost for the vehicles with equipment, graphics, purchase is $124,711. And this is using some of our old equipment transfer to these vehicles. And some of the vehicles that we looked at, we were not able to transfer equipment, so the equipment cost would have been more for a Chevy Caprice or a Ford Interceptor. The 4 vehicles that we want to replace are 2006s. Normally in a police fleet, it's 4 or 5 years. These vehicles last year, just these 4 vehicles last year cost the police department a little bit over $6,300 in maintenance cost.
Per vehicle?
No, for the total. For the 4 vehicles, the total is $6,300, over $6,300. And that's just to keep them running. And their mileage ranges from 62,000 to over 77,000 miles.
Now, if we do this, Chief, will you keep any of those vehicles?
We will look at the maintenance cost for them and probably keep 1 as a spare.
They just beat these cars to death, and the fire department's not as hard on them because they don't stop and go all day long, but I can't imagine a 6-year-old police car.
It gets a lot of use, and these Tahoes are built on a truck frame, to which I don't know that they're going to last any longer, but the resale value, according to studies, is the resale value is better than a car purchase or a car.
How are the Tahoes that we have now working out?
The 5 that we have no complaints. The officers that have been assigned them, like the room in them, the safety aspect of them, because they're a little bit bigger. They're a lot bigger than the cars. The cars that we could get that replaced the Crown Vics are small, and the equipment really doesn't fit in them appropriately. It takes over half of the passenger seat in the equipment, to where the Tahoes, it fits properly in them.
I did notice you're not requesting any plows on them, so.
No, these are 2-wheel drive vehicles. Ours can't be 4-wheel drive.
They're not 4-wheel?
They cannot be because they're not pursuit rated. They can't drive the same way.
But the new vehicle we bought last year for the truck helped us when it snowed.
Yes, our maintenance / animal control guy, he came in and plowed the police and fire, and he was even assigned to do streets if he was needed to.
Yeah. After this batch, Mark, where are we at as far as your fleet?
The next ones that will need to be replaced are 2008s. And some of those are getting costly as far as maintenance, but I think that we could probably wait a year before we look at replacing those.
Because I think in the last 2 years, there's been, I want to say, 17 or 18 police vehicles replaced. Is that right?
There's, last couple of years, we had Crown Vics replaced because that was the last year we could buy them, and then the 5 Tahoes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it has been. We have been fortunate that we have our asset forfeiture money, which is, it comes from the drug seizure money and property. But that's being used up when you buy 4 or 5 vehicles. It goes pretty quick.
Sure. Helps, though.
It helps.
Usually.
Mark, I just got this just a few minutes ago, so I wasn't sure what this cost was going to be. I know we just had to refund the Marshal Service over $18,000. Do you know what the balance? I should know this, but I didn't look because I wasn't expecting anything come out of there. But with this 124 and the 18 we just did, that's going to put us about 143. Do you remember just off the top of your head how much was in there?
Not off the top of the head, but this 124, as I understand, won't come. It's not a total cost coming out of CIF. It's only maybe 20,000, 25,000 that would come out of this. And then something else would be looked into next year.
Yeah.
But out of the 18 that you're talking about, all that was sent back because the Marshal Service decided that we're only going to get 20% of that instead of 25. So we'll get around 14 or 15,000 back.
Right. You would assume that they would have just said, well, here's the difference, send us a check, but no, they want the whole amount back.
It's the federal government.
Yeah.
Any other questions for board members? No. Thanks, Chief. This time I'll ask for a motion to approve Resolution Number 2, 2013.
I'll make said motion, Mayor, for resolution number 2.
Second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Both chiefs, if you would get with Dan and work through this and get the process started. I'm understanding it's a 4 or 5 month process to get the cars? 6 months. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Board 2013 Sanitary Sewer Engineering Services. Brent, could you step forward, please?
I'd like to present for the board's consideration amendment number 8 to our agreement between City of Beech Grove and Wessler Engineering for the on-call sanitary sewer collection system services. This work encompasses assisting with the operation and maintenance of the flow meters, also looking at sanitary collection system issues such as the St. Francis or Amtrak or emergency point repairs or anything else that we may get called upon. The compensation we're proposing is $20,000. That's the same as last year. It's an hourly rate contract. Also wanted to mention that our hourly rates are the same as 2012 for 2013. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
No, Brent, I just appreciate you being a dependable source that we can go to. Brad, you recommend that we redo this again this year? Board members have comments? That's for a motion to agree to renew our sanitary sewer collection system engineering services with Wessler Engineering.
Make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
Brant, let's move to 2013 Stormwater Professional Services.
Okay, this would be amendment number 3 to our agreement for providing stormwater services. The scope of this work encompasses the stormwater regulatory program, providing assistance for the NPDES permit, the Phase 2 permit. I think you've got a permit renewal coming up. Also responding to stormwater drainage complaints and looking at potential solutions for those stormwater problems, and updating the stormwater, if you want to call it master plan, list of stormwater projects. We've got a running total of drainage projects for the city to complete in the future. The contract amount, the amendment amount would be the same as last year, $15,000. Again, it would be an hourly contract, and again, our rates for 2013 are the same as last year. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Comments or questions from board members? Brad, I appreciate the professional service once again. And Brad, do you recommend we renew this?
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. And I do want to bring it to the board's attention that the money is budgeted to renew these agreements.
Thank you. We appreciate very much the opportunity to continue working with the city.
Stick around, we'll sign these and give them to you this evening. Thank you so much, Brad. Next, under new business, 2013 paving, United Consulting. Bill or Brian? Bill? Brian? Good to see you guys. We're starting earlier this year.
Yeah, that's right. I am Brian Pearson with United Consulting. A couple of weeks ago, we met with Mayor Buckley and Mr. Merriweather of the DPW to discuss possible resurfacing projects we could do this year on some of the city streets. The mayor had some ideas on what streets were in the worst condition or needed the most immediate attention, and he had a couple of budget numbers in mind that we talked about and tried to figure out what we could do with the money that we had available. So we have put together an agreement for the civil engineering services required to provide preliminary and final plans along with probable construction costs. We will provide bidding services, meaning construction contracts, advertise for the project, and handle the bids that come in, and make a recommendation to the board as far as the low bidder who is responsible. And then we also offer inspection services during the construction, where we will have someone out there with the contractor overseeing the construction that they do. The resurfacing we're talking about is just resurfacing the existing roads. We would also investigate the roadways to look for worse conditions, which require full depth patching, conditions where the sub-base is failing, and additional work would increase the design life of the pavement. The mayor indicated he would like to get this work done earlier in the spring as opposed to last year when we were paving in the fall. So we've put together in the contract a schedule that has, I believe, about 45 days to get this ready and out on the street to the contractors.
Mm-hmm. Board members, you should have one of these with you. We went through there. It was Bill and Brad and Brian and myself. And we really did well last year with paving, with what we had to work with. This year we have more money. There was some really good work done. Putting budgets together and getting money ready to do paving. And I think all of us knows that we have so many bad roads, it's terrible. It's almost to the point where do you start? And
good maintenance is always a good place to start.
So we just have to whittle away at it until we get caught up, and it's not going to happen this year. This is going to take a long time to get caught up, but once it gets caught up down the road, then it's really going to be good. I know myself, and I've already instructed United folks, 13th Avenue from Albany to Southern, Detroit from 10th Avenue west to 17th Street, 23rd Street from Churchman to Southern, and 25th Street there at Mann. That will be paved this spring if we do nothing else.
And based on our preliminary look at the construction costs associated with those roads, it could be done based on the budget we had discussed.
Yes.
And the way the contract is set up, the city is allowed to add or remove any work that they'd like to once the contractor gets out there, meaning that you can suit the work to hit the budget.
Mm-hmm. I think 23rd Street might be the worst road in Beech Grove.
Did I understand correctly that we're going to go through the bidding process again?
Yes, this is would be a whole separate contract compared to what we did last year. A brand new set of plans would be prepared and sent out, and new bids received.
Is that something that we have to do? Why can't we just, go with the current contractor who did our work for us in the fall?
The project that the contractors bid on last year, it was just a finite contract. It was the way the contract was set up. You could probably, if you wanted to look forward to doing something on a more annual basis, set something like that up. But the last contract was set up to only cover a finite amount of work, and hence prices and costs associated with that work was only good for that year or that duration of that project.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Ed, do you have comments or questions or concerns?
No, not right this time. I'm just going over some of the.
Thank you. What I'd like to do, Board, is have a motion to approve agreement between the City of Beech Grove and United Consulting for the paving of roads in Beech Grove, and the amount cannot exceed, engineering and inspection services cannot exceed $54,500.
Yes, as with the sanitary and storm contracts, those are hourly contracts with a not-to-exceed dollar amount.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
sign these this evening.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, could you come up for a minute? On another related project.
Yes, good evening. Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you give us an update on the creek project?
Yes, we are to the point now, we have the plans are substantially done, and Christopher Burke is working on the plans. They're coordinating with utilities right now. We have a list of potential people that could bid on the work, and we're to the point within the next month we should, I don't know the procedure for which the city would like to get the quotes, which I will discuss with the mayor and the city attorney. But I would think we ought to be out there working late spring. Ideally, if we could have got it done last summer, would have been awesome when there was no water in the creek. But in talking to the people that do this work with the normal flow through the stream, this work can be done with normal flow. It obviously couldn't be done when there's flooding, but get it done this summer.
And I've seen one permit already through the DNR.
Yes, I didn't bring the information. They don't have all the permits, but we're very close to getting them.
And I'll get with you pursuant to bids, because we did some work on that last summer when we did the bond, 2012 bond.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that getting done.
Well, I think we all are.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Thank
Board
you.
members have questions for Bill?
Other questions? Thanks.
I'm looking forward to doing the resurfacing too. That there's a lot to be done. I think we put a dent in it, and this year I think we'll be able to. People will start noticing this year after we get this year's projects done. So.
Next year is the turn year that people we'll start to get a real grip on it next year.
Mm-hmm.
Because these roads here that we're doing are just awful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Comments from board members?
No comments.
I have none.
If none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make said motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting's adjourned at 7:07 PM. We will meet again on Monday, February the 4th, 2013 at 6 PM. Thank you so much.